We start out on this new road. No turning back. But we have our ancestors with us. We're going to continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Seeing them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of that Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set the fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's the fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs, they still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive and well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Pakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
Yo, Las Aslan, LA Natives podcast. Let's go ahead and turn Zero's mic on.
Yo. Check, 1, 2. Yo.
Sorry about us being late, but it's definitely going to be a jam-packed episode. I
don't think my mic's on. Yo.
Yeah, your mic's on.
Really? I can't hear myself in the phones.
Hold on. Let me go ahead and reset this audio real quick. Check 1 2.
I think it's the headphone that I'm not hearing, bro. Yo. There we go. Good to go. So sorry. There we go. I don't know. It's weird when you don't have the headphones and shit.
Hold on, guys. Let me get this music back.
Okay.
I think we are good. Guys, if you guys are still with us, give us a shout out if you could hear us nice and clear.
Absolutely, man. So happy
Yeah,
to
someone
be
was
here.
tampering with the mixer, and Zero caught it.
Well, I just, when you're an engineer of music, you follow the signal chain. So I was just fucking following. I was like, oh, fuck, this thing's unplugged. But we're here now. And Warrior Think Tank, Wednesdays.
As I was saying, I want to thank all of our YouTube subscribers. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Can you believe that?
Sweet. That's crazy. That's so fast. That's like a crazy
When I
jump.
get back on tour, and while I'm on tour, I'm going to be promoting the heck out of our YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
And yeah, guys, Twitch served its role, served its purpose, but it seems like a lot of people are catering to our YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Which essentially that was our whole goal, to get as many subscribers as we can and to continue to feed content to our listeners.
The idea was to have YouTube, but when we deal with YouTube, we're going to deal with censorship and not being able to play music.
And this is why we're going to be rolling out our Patreon.
Right. Okay.
We're going to be doing our
There's a
extended
strategy.
versions.
There's a strategy.
Yeah, there's going to be some great extended versions to our podcast. It's going to be incredible. We're going to be, talking about topics that we can't necessarily talk about live on air. Right, Zero?
Right. Like today's topic,
Layla, thank you for waiting for us. She actually chimed in earlier. Hey, it's 6.
Oh.
You guys are not live yet. Thank you very much. We're just kind of behind. Did a couple software updates.
There's some big news in my life where we soft opened our store. So we're letting all our IG community know where it's at, and they've been supportive. So anybody that wants to go order the Malinali Superfood minerals or get our aguas frescas, we are fully functional. 4528 Whittier Boulevard. And yeah, man, that's why I'm late today. I just want to let the community know that we're probably gonna have to move the podcast to a later time, just because I work from 10 to 7,
and we
at
might
the
be
store.
recording out of the new storefront as
Absolutely.
well. Right,
Yeah, we can take the stuff down there and do. It's gonna be really. We have so much art. Me and my family have been collecting our culture's medicine for over 15 years. And the interesting part is that we right now we're in shared living with. Anyways, our living situation isn't ideal for us. And that's why we're so happy that the store's open. But we took all of the medicine that we've collected, and for some reason I went to the store and we unloaded all of our stuff that we collected from Mexico City, from ceremonies, all of our sacred stuff. And it landed at the store, and I just want to let the community know that we're here to we're here to inform our people of alternative things that we can do to keep ourselves healthy. And now that the storefront is open, it could be consistent. It's kind of hard to do it out of your house, and having to prep or order a day in advance.
And for all of our diehard listeners, they know all about Malinani Superfoods. We've been talking about it since I think episode 1, right?
Yeah, we've been waiting for this for a long time, and now it's here, and a lot of communities starting to gather, and a lot of issues are coming up, right? I've been getting some personal DMs. I know Armando has been telling me that they've been getting some personal DMs, and in a response to the individual by the name of Iron Jacket, right?
Right. And I've seen a lot of response videos on this situation, but
and I've seen the TikTok investigations.
Right. I just haven't seen a perspective, a lens coming from an individual like yourself, Zero. You're deeply rooted in that Los Angeles indigenous scene.
Yeah. Well, right? I was born and raised in Boyle Heights. So, I was born in White Memorial Hospital, and then my grandfather my grandfather already owned his house in East LA, but my mom, the first part of our life was in Boyle Heights on Mott, in Brooklyn. So
and we have a very special guest in the building.
absolutely. So I decided to, before I took on this topic, I had to really think about it because I want to do a disclaimer. If you're listening to this podcast for me to bash Iron Jacket, for me to even talk about the fact that he's white or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to do that. What I want to address is the letdown. And there's things that we have learned walking our red path that we see a mile away. And we're trying as good warriors, because warriors isn't the tough guy. Warriors is the guy that could calm everything down, replant, reroute, and give good direction. That to me is a warrior. And I'm inviting one of them to my podcast today. He's a community member. He's been in ceremony ever since I've known him. And he's the hardest working community member I've ever met. His intention is so big. His heart is so huge. My brother Lucas, I want to bring him on. And this, with the help of Lucas, we can address, I believe, the letdown that Iron Jacket gave us.
Man, those compliments coming from you, that's insane, Zero.
Bro, I mean, I've known Lucas for 20 years, bro. We started on the same road. Just put the headphones and then...
Put the earphones on, put the mic as close to your mouth as possible. Let's get this crack in.
Introduce yourself, Lucas.
La Socamati. My name is Lucas Tecolot. From Boa Heights. Born and raised as well. I was born in General Hospital, and I was raised in strata courts, housing projects. I spent the majority of my life there, and that was my reality growing up. You know, parents are Mexican migrants, came in, from Mexico. Grew up with a Chicano identity, and I went through saw all the havoc and all the chaos of the 90s. That was my coming of age time, was late 90s, the whole decade, and that shaped my my worldview. Half of the 90s was my coming of age lost time, and then mid 90s and 95, which is when we met.
Yeah, we started our ceremony road and our research road about who was in control here.
Right. Right, exactly.
We woke up. I like to think of it, Lucas, and during those early times in the early meetings that we, going to Tino's house and watching those weird ass fucking VHS Illuminati videos like in 93, 94, and doing real study groups. Like we really watched the video and really contemplated on what their strategy was to control us, right? And then what was going to be the counterbalance to these things. So we have a long road in the red road and the research road of who we thought were controlling. That's why my opinion is very strong here on LA Natives, because it's not like I just started watching YouTube videos about this shit. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, that's not me. I've been, we've done a lot of unique things in our life. I don't want to be specific, but we were connected to a lot of people that were very dedicated to making a big impact on the system, but never an impact on white supremacy.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Right. And I think going back to, so just to finish off the point, was like from 95 onward in that decade was my awakening.
Absolutely.
My coming and having the questions of what happened. Mm-hmm. Why are we going through all this chaos and self-destruction in the streets. And then, as I started asking the questions, the universe started answering through people, through books, through music.
Yeah, it was a group of us that kind of felt the same thing.
And it just kind of like, it brought us together,
Right.
And then another point, as you're talking about, this research was like, we actually had to read books.
Yeah.
Not.
And they were big ass books.
They were thick.
Those fucking Behold the Pale Horse.
That was thick, man.
That was a big ass book.
Those
Davey Icke books is like fucking huge. Those were huge.
And I'm still reading some
Jose Arguello's books.
Oh, yeah.
Jose Arguello's, Humbolt's Men. All these books we read in the early 90s because we were starving. Well, the way I look at it, Lucas, I have a micro vision and I have a macro vision.
Right.
In the macro vision, it was in the right place because I look at it as an older individual. Man, wow. What an opportunity for us to even know Jose Arguelles' theories, right? They placed us back prior to being conquered, because all we were learning prior to that was, yeah, there were warriors that ran away and fought the conquest, but it wasn't specific on philosophy, math, science, astrology, whatever it was that our ancestors rooted themselves into, our quest, right? Our quest. And then we met Lawn Walker, and Lawn Walker opened up a portal, and all of a sudden now we're doing some very heavy things for our community. Me with music, and I know you've always been involved with marches, recognition of certain things, and we'll talk about something like that later on in the show, because I do want to address the Iron Jacket thing in a humble way. In no way do I want to bash this brother. I don't care if he's white. And I'm going to give you my solid perspective of where we're at with this. Because to tell you the truth, he let a lot of people down. He let a lot of people down. He let a lot of people believe that he was the real deal. And he was, in his way. And that's why I stress sovereignty. Sovereignty as an individual. Because the sovereignty as an individual will put challenges in front of you to better yourself for the community. And I just didn't feel like this individual was coming with the perspective of a community. I think his own community, whatever, I mean, when you get 50,000 followers in a short amount of time, because your poetry or your essays are profound research and put together with critical thought, man, that's a very impressive individual. And I met Iron Jacket because Jenny bought plugs off of him. First thing he tells me, I'm wearing a Mexica, the Tapantli, right? But the black one, not the other one. Okay. First thing he tells me, bro, oh, you know the Mexicas were ruled by giants, right? The giants oppressed them. And he expected me to say, fuck you. What do you mean? What are you talking about? And you know what I said? Tell me more, bro. Because I've always been fighting oppression. So that means I've been fighting oppression not for 500 years. You're going to give me a date when I started fighting oppression, because I've always been communal. My grandfathers walked 240 years to get to their destination. That's generations and generations. So you're not going to just fucking throw me off my pedestal with your little comment.
Right.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Exactly.
And he didn't have much to say.
Exactly.
Shout out to Hector Ruelas.
But
he actually wants to say hi to Lucas. He said he met you back in 2001.
Wow, Hector.
Much respect, homie.
Thank you, brother.
So you got fans, bro. You didn't even know. No, I don't say that to go, oh yeah, I went heads with Iron Jacket. I humbled myself to a brother who I felt, if he's gonna call my shirt out, I'm not gonna automatically think he's talking shit.
Right.
I'm gonna humble myself to his wisdom. Because if you have it, I'm humble to wisdom. I'm humble to anybody's wisdom. I'm not humble to your tyranny, to your ego, to you, I know this and you don't know this. I'm not humble to that. That I fight like white supremacy because I'm sovereign. But if you're going to tell me a story that I've never heard, then I'm going to humble myself to that wisdom. And I did, but you didn't tell me the story. So, but you still got humble. And that's why when the bullshit happened, I didn't come off like, oh yeah, I'm going to get some likes and I'm going to bash this güero like other people feel like they could do. I think that nonsense has to stop.
Right.
Bashing each other doesn't do anything.
But like you said, Zero, I think we both could agree. I think we all could agree that there was a certain pocket of individuals that felt like they got let down.
Hundreds, maybe thousands of people got let down.
Lucas, like I was telling you off air, Zero. Like
Lucas, what was
for
it
me?
like?
I was kind of like turned off with the whole
That's why I'm a
thing. Am I right, Lucas? I don't know. Like from an outside point of view, I was just kind of turned off. Like, yo, this shouldn't be exploited like this with clout chasing on social media and all that crap. Like for me, walking the red road or following the red road, it's sacred.
Yes, and that definitely, I think that played a part in the letdown. Was he came off very eccentric. With the body paint and
the copper,
the language, and I think people, and then how he was given, I guess given a platform, or he was what is it like?
Well,
it's not sponsored in,
that's a good. That's part B of it.
Well,
let's talk about part A.
Maybe what you're trying to say, co-signed.
Right.
It was a co-signing.
But let's leave it at the co-sign right there, because that's a whole nother part.
Yeah.
The co-sign has a whole nother section that we're going to discuss, right?
Okay.
But right now we're going to talk that he body painted. He had profound research, right? He read a lot of books. You cannot not tell that he read a lot of books, right? Because I'll tell you why. In my opinion, I think he read a lot of books. Because the wisest person that I've ever met didn't say one fucking word to me. I saw him walk to the fire, what he did to the fire, what his routine was with the fire, what his connection was with the fire. He didn't need to fucking paint his body and fucking, he didn't need to do that. He taught me so much, and I used those techniques. Not one word did that individual teach me. I saw him all night through the ceremony, but he never went, hey, this is how you do this. Those are wisdom people. Yes. Those people still exist.
They show you by doing.
Exactly.
They show you by doing, not just saying.
And that's why I felt like this individual was well-read. Now, I don't know all of his history, and according to him, he's sweated or had relationships with Russell Memes.
He showed a picture of him. Right. I saw his response, and he showed his picture, but at one point I don't remember if he actually mentioned his name.
Okay. Well, according to him, he has his thing with Russell Memes, right? Look, a part A of it is that he has the regalia. He knows how to make the regalia. He knows how to make the bow and arrow. He knows how to craft his jewelry. He knows how to speak Chichimeca. He lives off a grid. That takes a long time to learn. And I feel like this brother dedicated. I feel, in my opinion, I don't know him personally like that. But if I'm the outside looking in, and this brother wants to be a part of the tribe that we've been in for 20 years, I'm still going to be humble. I'm not going to be I'm just going to watch you. I'm going to watch you until something starts to crack. And if it cracks too big, I'm going to have an opinion.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. So I feel like he dedicated 10 to 12 years of reading books and living off the grid. You dedicate 10 to 12 years, you too can be Iron Jacket.
And I give him that.
In a way.
Living off the grid is a huge sacrifice for a lot of people. Like for yourself, Zero, like you can't really go off the grid. You have a family you take care of, to support, you're a busy entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying?
The difference between me forcefully taking my family off the grid is to stop the intergenerational trauma of you got to do what I say. What if I create a beautiful place outside of the city that has a garden that is kind of off the grid, and I have a place for my son and daughter to always have a place to be, but unfortunately, we live off the grid. Iron Jacket didn't let me down. He inspired me to dedicate 20 years into either learning Nahuatl language and living off the grid. You're an inspiration, my brother. I appreciate you coming and doing that, but you're not the next coming of so-and-so, whatever it is that it was, because I saw a crack, bro. I saw a crack, but I stayed humble, and I'm not here to bash you. I love you. I know it's going to sound weird to the community, but I love you in a way that's like arm's length away and respect for what you've learned. I muere. I don't know about you living in East LA, and because that will be part C that we talk about. But part A is, and you're in agreement, right. Armando, Lucas, dedicating 12 to 10 years in a language and learning to live off the grid, which isn't much time. 1 decade is not very long.
No, it's not.
And you're proficient in knowing how to live off the grid. The thing is that he would exaggerate a little bit by saying, oh yeah, I check my traps every morning to see what I could eat. And that's false. Come on. You're that good?
Yeah.
You're checking traps every morning and living off the adrenaline. See, when you are a hunter and you're living that way, you kill the meat and drink the blood because you're living off the adrenaline of the animal. And the animal is going to release adrenaline because it's going to try to fight to stay alive. And you drink that blood, and you can sustain yourself for very long periods of time. It's probably the purest way of, you dig what I mean? Through animals. Do you know how I learned that? Because when I was watching a documentary and they were killing a wolf was killing the prey, it would run around it, and the prey would kick more. It wouldn't go right away, kill it, and eat it. It almost seemed like it was getting it excited or scared of dying. That's what I'm observing on the wolf. And then when he felt or got tired enough, boom, he went and got all of whatever that hormone was that was floating in the blood before you die. Right? That's the way you kind of survive in the wild. This is my most informed opinion. This is not fact. I didn't read books and I didn't do this, but if I'm wise enough to look how the macro vision works, it'll show me the direction.
Observations.
Yeah. Through that, oh, wow, this makes sense.
Right.
The science part of our understanding makes sense. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But when you're a hunter in that way, there's days where you don't eat because you don't think small prey gets smart to your shit? This is the universe you're dealing with. These animals get smart to what you're doing. You have to be really good at it. I'm not saying that he wasn't.
Yeah.
But when the girls talked about him killing a cow and storing the meat, that to me was kind of inconsistent to what he was saying, that I hunt every day. Right. And I eat fresh hunt every day. Maybe it was an exaggeration because we all exaggerate. Like, I played in front of 10,000 people, because Rocco invited me. It wasn't like they booked me, So we all exaggerate.
Right.
Shout out to Rocco.
Well, what's your message to the majority of that base that's like, he's a complete fraud?
Well,
I don't want nothing to do with him.
Well, that's for him to deal with. He has to. That's why he made his little video. That's why he put the thing and made it all nice for everybody to.
Because you believe he felt the pressure. He felt like he needed a response.
Yeah, I think he had to say something about what was happening, and you know, when all this stuff, rumors come up, and yeah, you know.
So part A was
Stories.
part A of the response from LA natives is dedicate yourself for a long period of time consistently, and you'll learn your Chichimeca language, your Purepecha language, your Mexica language.
Exactly.
Dedicate 10 years to it. You'll see.
And then the beauty, I think the part of the letdown, right, is that people have in this day and age, people are thirsty, you know, for knowledge, for natural indigenous knowledge, and you know, this guy comes out of nowhere, really, you know, and then he has, you know, certain philosophies that are still a little bit unverifiable, right? Like the whole Choloani, you know, definition, and how he says he acquired that. And so, you know, he comes out of nowhere, and, you know, people gravitate to that. And then all of a sudden this hits.
Yeah.
And it becomes like, oh, you know. And I think something that we as a people didn't really subscribe to was like that Messiah, you know, kind of idea.
Because in our neighborhood, every time you fucking started acting that way, and you'd be like 10 people coming at you from, and even without like having knowledge, they just want to bump you off, just talk shit, get you mad, throw you off your rocker. We're in the concentration camp, bro. We're in prison. We're in jail. Just because we're not in jail, I mean, that's a whole nother torture.
Right.
The jails that we live in, we automatically open the door and close it and lock it and all that shit.
Yeah,
right?
on our own.
I just noticed it in that response video that he put out right away. So many people were like, there it is. He cleared the air. He's innocent.
Right.
I'm good now.
And it's still not you know, for me, when I saw it, I was like, well,
were there still questions, to be honest?
Yeah, there were more questions. There was more questions about his time in Bow Heights. There was more questions about the language. You know, I sent the video to a few brothers that have been on that path of learning the language to see if, you know, I don't know enough to say that he's learning the language or he's speaking the language properly. And, you know, there was inconsistencies there, but, you know, language is ever evolving, you know, so, you know, and like you say, maybe not be now what it could be Chichimeca. It's a different, you know,
dialect.
You know,
there's dialect.
So.
We talk different from the Bay Area people.
Right.
They talk English, but they talk different. We use different slang down here. We use a particular slang down here.
Exactly, yeah.
That was born here a long, long time ago. And the reason we became gangs was because them motherfuckers that had the port in Long Beach, the sailors and the Navy motherfuckers and the Army motherfuckers would come into our neighborhoods and beat us up.
Exactly.
And that's why we gathered up together and became a gang, and now it's cool. Oh, gang. Oh, fuck your gang. That was a forced.
Yes.
That was forced on us.
Self-defense.
Yeah. And now we seem to think it's fucking the coolest thing on the earth, but trying to protect yourself from rape, from your girlfriend being raped in front of you because this guy decided with the uniform to do it is that's another level. See, so there's a lot of I get what you're saying in terms of like how much we are embedded into the soil of East Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say, just because you moved there for a month, you can't say, oh, I was from East LA.
Right.
Nah. I'm from East LA and I knew better to say that. You know,
right. Every time I think of East LA, I think of Zero of El Vuh. And I think of, you know, east of the river and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? People who are like embedded, that are born, raised there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. That's why it was kind of funny a few years back when this one actor said that he was from East LA, and it turned out that he had just I think he lived in Echo Park.
Right.
You know, and it was like, wait, that's not. And they were trying to say that was the east side, and you know, this whole controversy. Anyway, you know, it's there's a lot of history there. You know, a lot of pain, suffering, but a lot of beauty and a lot of good memories. You know, that we hold on to in that space of Bow Heights, East LA. And so I think, like, you know, with what I was kind of trying to get to earlier was that the letdown is part is like, oh, even in that, right? Even in the indigenous, there's somebody that's gonna, you know, be fake. And I was like, separate the person from the culture. That's key, because human beings are always gonna be, you know, human. We're always gonna falter. We're always gonna, you know, we have egos, and the purpose of our culture is that we learn how to control our egos, you know. And so when we see somebody like him, and just like, oh, and his ego was like, he was pushing that ego through the, even like with this culture, and it became, and people, like, when he saw it, it's like, oh, so they got kind of, like you said, like, they got, you know, this cloud of this, oh, like, look at this guy with this philosophy, and then the cover comes off, and it's like, he's just another dude, you know, and it turns out that he's a white dude, or
whatever,
or a really, really light-skinned dude,
yeah,
from, you know, from native raíces. We don't know.
We don't know.
And so
he hasn't been consistent enough to know what that is. He's laying claims to things that can't be proven.
Yeah.
It's impossible to prove that you lived in the streets as a punk. It's impossible to prove unless you tell us exactly who your mom is. And
or friends.
Like, it's unfortunate that we're, like, even at that level where we're asking for that, but that's what social media does.
Right.
You know, social media does that. You want to see receipts. So, you know, that's the new word, receipts.
Right.
Like, I want to see your receipt. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit whether you're white or not. I met him. Lucas, we've been in this ceremony road for a very long time, 20 years. I've met white people who have been sun dancers like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was a conflict like a motherfucker. When, you know, you have to go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right, cool. You have medicine or whatever. And you're still resentful. That's your own, that's what we're talking about. Your own internal ego. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was contemplating about the Huitzli Lupochli warriors that told the community that we needed to go on this 200-year walk.
Right.
Because they were under the spirit of Huitzli Lupochli, right?
Right.
Thought about that, man. I was like, why would, like, people that, like, when you say warriors, they're like conquerors. They come over there, and but yet every story they have is how they learned from each community as they kept going and going and gathering and gathering and learning stars, learning medicines, learning herbs, and taking that wisdom, keeping it going. I went, whoa, it hit me like a ton of bricks, bro.
Right.
The greatest warrior defeats himself.
Exactly.
The hummingbird warrior defeats himself.
I was even breaking down the word itself.
Yeah.
A warrior, they just flipped it over. You just flipped the pronunciation, and your war is yourself.
Yes.
You're your first enemy that you need to conquer, and you're the hardest enemy
to conquer. Absolutely.
You're the hardest enemy to conquer.
Right, because you feel like, well, I can justify why I did that. That's called self-importance.
Yes.
Self-importance. And anyone who walks the road of self-importance doesn't ever have to put any YouTube video up to explain himself. He can have an opinion, but you don't have to put together. And that's another thing that I have to just pros and cons. Like respond as a human, as a humble. When Armando, we know what this is like.
Yes.
Cancel culture stuff.
Man. It's
I'm not gonna
real. It's real. Cancel culture
Let's
is
just say it
absolutely
exists.
real.
Let's just say it exists, and we kind of have a. I'm not saying that someone did that to us. I'm just saying
it's
there. It's there, and it's real.
It's a force to be reckoned with.
But I don't think a video answers enough, right? Like, if that ever happened to me in that way, my Uncle Al will be sitting with me. My Uncle Armando will be sitting with me, because Armando knows me just like Uncle Al owes me. And to me, they can't say anything. That Chicano road that they had to To walk, no one will call them elders, but I will. Just because I know what they had to go through to get there.
Right.
Do you know what it's like to go to a Sundance and told, get the fuck out of here, you're Mexican?
That's crazy. I never experienced that one.
Yeah. That's what they did. If they weren't fucking persistent enough and say, no, we are, no. Well, we'll stand outside. Well, we'll come in through the back. If it wasn't for those guys that get no recognition whatsoever, me and Lucas would not be here in that, doing the community work that they passed on to us.
Yes. And I think that's also part of the key here is that it's in, the receipts, because I think right now what you just laid out was receipts, of who knows us, who knows our walk. Even if they go back to the project and they go like, hey, do you know this fool? Like, yeah, fuck that fool, blah, 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 blah. At least they know me, right? They knew me from the the pre-95 time.
Yeah.
And then, but that's still validity that, oh, this fool walked these streets, these, these halls right here, these hallways. And I think that's important for people to also take into consideration is like, not just, we can't just allow also just anybody out of the blue just to come in and kind of like take us like that. And I think that's part of the letdown, right? Like people out there in social media, they just kind of opened up to him and as much as they can through social media, and then all this pops out, right? And so I think that we have to be a little bit more guarded, but that doesn't mean we're judgmental or that,
absolutely
or that we're gonna close our doors or close our minds to certain, like a person's perspective, right? And so I think that's where we need to kind of make clear, I think, to today, this podcast today, that and speaking to those that got let down is like, okay, but
you
like
can
you
be
said,
that.
you can be that, like what you said, like get the inspiration to learn your language.
Yeah. Dedicate real time to doing that.
Like it's not just like, oh, he was doing it. Like, okay, what attracted you to that? Then do that. It might not be getting off the grid. It might be just learning the language. It might be, walking a different path. It might be, whatever you take from that, whatever whatever you were looking at him for, and you feel let down, kind of like a reflection of that. Like, okay, what, I need to do that. I need to walk that. What part of indigenous?
How could I walk that better?
Right.
How could I walk that without having to lie?
More accurately, more truthful.
Yeah. How could I do that? That's our inspiration from Iron Jacket. Not that and I still give him, I'm still humbled to your wisdom, Iron Jacket, because you invested time in learning off the grid. You invested time in learning whatever you learned. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt always. Because when you told me you were from East LA, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Because we know the consequence of saying you're from someplace, especially East LA, and you're not from there.
Right.
Me and Lucas know that. We know not to say
especially
things.
Boyle Heights.
Well,
Especially
here's
Boyle
why. Here's why. Because when I used to be a kid and I used to go outside of my neighborhood and someone said, oh, you're from LA? Ooh, is it crazy? Where you from? East LA. Ooh, fuck. Is it crazy? Are you shooting out? It's like, so when you insinuate, oh, I'm from Boyle Heights, without having to say the other bullshit, they go, oh, you're automatically hooked up to the gangs.
Right.
You're automatically a gang person. And I knew better in my neighborhood to not do that. Because when you do that, either you're going to be a part of it or you're going to get beat up by it or exploited by it. It's better. Right? Either you're going to get challenged by it, like, yo, you are, motherfucker, now you are. Hold the gun. We're riding.
Right.
Yeah, you're pulling it now. That's why I never said that shit. Ever. Because I was completely against hurting my own people.
Yeah.
That was just not, I just could, never, ever, ever think about that. Because I lost a friend when I was, man, he went to 4th Street Elementary. He just graduated 4th Street. And he was hanging around the party crews. And they fucking shot him in the back. Yeah. They shot him in the back. And I went to fucking elementary school with it. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. So I didn't glorify it.
Right.
I didn't want to look like it. I didn't want to be. It just fucking traumatized me. How does my friend who's fucking 14 years old not go to junior high with me? Right?
Yeah.
That's a trip for me. That was a life-changing thing for me.
Those traumatic experiences that when death becomes real. You're like, oh.
So I guess that's why we know what traumas we live in when we come from this place. Right?
Right.
We know, oh wow, you lived my trauma. There's a trauma bond.
Right.
But you also get cred, you get clout because you're from this place and you survived and you maybe still live there.
Yeah.
You know me,
and you're still functioning, you're still moving forward.
Me growing up in Downey, Southgate, Cerritos, Norwalk, there was always this element of surprise if anyone mentioned, hey, let's roll to East LA. There was always that hesitation.
Yeah, because you'd get beat up or stolen or something. Somebody will shoot you. They're crazy over here. They're crazy over. And if it's not them, it's the sheriff department.
Right, and unfortunately, in high school,
and I don't mean to bash them. I didn't want to open up that gate, but let's just say, and they can admit it too. They know what they do.
Right.
We don't have to fucking go in detail, but
and
if
guys,
it wasn't them, it was them.
And guys, me, I went to Downey High, Cerritos High, and why was it always that to find the hard drugs, people were like, let's go to East LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a hub. That's where it was at, bro.
Certain neighborhoods had were known for certain drugs. You wanted the PCP, you went to one neighborhood, you wanted crack, and you wanted even if
I've had
even
major
LSD.
experiences out there, man. I used to walk
Yep.
into backyards in East LA, and the cookhouse was like right there in the back.
Right.
I remember one time we wanted to buy some weed, and someone said, "Oh, no one has weed." Oh, what the fuck? No one has weed. You got to go to Ramona Gardens. I went, what the fuck? That's like combat zone. But we were so into it, and it's so supposed, and we parked 2 blocks away from it, and it was dangerous.
Yeah.
So we know what it means to say. What you say when you say you're from East Los Angeles, you're saying you live with a lot of trauma.
Yes.
A lot of street trauma, a lot of police brutality, a lot of religious exploitation. You're saying a lot when you say you're from Boyle Heights or East LA.
You are.
You're saying a lot. And so that's inconsistent.
Yes.
And we have to say that that's inconsistent.
And then everything you just said, just saying I'm from Boyle Heights. But then you tat it on yourself.
Ooh.
That's another level.
Yes.
That's another level.
Because you're not, and people go automatically, they go, oh, the street gang. That's not the street gang. That's the jail. Because orders don't come from the street.
Yeah.
They come from another place.
Yeah.
A higher place. So when you do put that brand on you,
right,
you are working for.
You're telling everybody. It's like before that, people have to approach him and have a conversation, and it's like, hey, so where'd you grow up? Oh,
who do you know?
Who do you know? Now you're like all over the world.
Yeah.
Telling everybody that you're from this location, and you carry these stories, right? You carry these traumas, you carry this history, and then turns out that you don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the other part of the letdown, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, what? Really? Shit.
To be honest,
and everyone that I know personally that's from Boyle Heights, East LA, it's prideful for them. It's like, guys, I'm sure you guys are so I don't know, honored to be from there because it has so much history.
Bro, they killed Ruben Salazar there. The biggest riots that happened for us was there. Our marchas were there. Our grandparents came there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just I'm from this cool city. We had blood, sweat, and tears. We had to work. Well, white people worked 8 hours. We were working 20 hours, just to buy beans and tortillas and shit. Those businesses that you go buy your tortillas and your fucking burritos and all those panaderias that are there, that have been there for 50 years, they had to fucking carry the weight of the world to make that happen. It's a big deal when you say you're from this place. This is Las Taslan, bro. This can make or break you.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, it's East LA. It's the biggest concentration of Mexicanos outside of Mexico.
Right.
And that carries also culture. It carries a spirit. It carries, not just history of this geographical area of East LA, Boyle Heights, but then home or where our parents come from. And so just the amount of just history that comes into Boyle Heights, and the native knowledge, to be real, that comes into Boyle Heights.
Danza was one of the big.
Danza came in the early 70s,
and to Los Angeles.
There's a history to that.
Absolutely. And I don't want to mention any names. I'm not going to get into that. But I'm just saying, like, in the macro picture of it, not this micro picture. Micro's different.
Yeah, and so how it came.
So you know what? This is a good. Let's go just a tiny bit into it, because that was a letdown too.
Yeah.
In the 70s, there was an individual who came with the danza knowledge and gave it to the Chicano people.
Yeah.
The kids of the descendants of the lost tribes, right? The tribes that got blamed out by the Spaniards, which we call Mexicans, right? Which people label us Latinos, right? He came, right? But he was imperfect. And it was bad. It was so bad, he cannot be in Los Angeles no more. That was a huge letdown because he had wisdom. He had a lot of it. But he also had bad habits.
Yeah.
That we're not going to go into detail, but he let us down. So much so that we bring him up to this day. His name will fuck up everything if you bring it up. That's how bad he fucked up. And he was an elder, supposedly.
Wow.
Or somebody who brought...
There might be... There's two individuals. The one that brought danza, and then there's a different other dude that brought that went down there and then came back with his own version of danza.
Got it.
So
my point is that these people brought it. They were the first. Like, okay, so then this individual that went there and brought it, he's the Iron Jacket. He's the Iron Jacket of the 70s. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of popularity. Obviously, women are going to go, wow, I want to be with him. And obviously, this individual made bad decision that got him ostracized. He can't step foot here because people will show up and start calling him names and start
calling them out, trying to hold him accountable.
Holding him accountable to this day. They're holding him accountable. To this day, they're holding him accountable. It's not nothing to play with. That's why it's a good opportunity to address the situation. Now, Iron Jacket was nothing like he didn't bring anything really. He just brought a really profound, I view him as a performance art guy. Performance art, that's what it was for me. I looked at it and I went, wow, this guy's really good at his performance art.
Right, great point.
Yeah, and people bought into it like a rock star, right? Which leads us to point B, the cosign. Right? People co-signed for him. And how can I say this without... I'm the least guy that you want to have beef with, so please don't take this wrong. But not even the co-signer was from LA. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Not even the co-signer was from Los Angeles.
That's fact. That's fact.
But I think that's where it comes. What you were saying that because he had that tattoo, it was automatic. Like, this dude.
He's real.
Yeah, he's real. He has a tattoo.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, well, if he has a tattoo and then he has that on his back, you know, the sur, then that's like that's
ultimate cosign.
That's ultimate like
Yeah.
I'll be stupid if I don't cosign.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, oh,
Not true.
Not true. Then it's like, oh wow, it's a street level not true. Which is like it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
That's why I don't want to say too much, but
Yeah.
I want to say facts.
Yeah.
The person that co-signed, no. Well, because they gave him the credit, right, for co-signing it. He got the backlash for it, for co-signing on it. But the truth is, Iron Jacket and him, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way or in a way that, let's just say they didn't suffer our trauma.
Yeah.
That's it. They didn't suffer that trauma here.
Yeah.
They came here different with the nice house, right? They didn't live here for 10 years while sheriffs point guns at your face. And I'm not, it's not about, we know police brutality exists, but that's real.
Honestly, I was more scared of bumping into cops in East LA than actual, hoods.
And you had every right to feel that way.
Terrified.
Every right to feel that
And there were Raza cops también.
Oh yeah, they're the worst.
They were the worst.
They're the worst.
That's part B. But other people were convinced who were from Los Angeles and were.
But when you're an entertainer and you're deeply embedded in the industry, sometimes the industry gets the best of you, and you jump the gun and you try to exploit something for the greater good, right? Because that's what entertainment is all about: exploiting a certain artist or a certain style of
I think
of
he
art
did it
or
great.
whatever.
If I look at it in an artistic way instead of what it turned out to be,
Absolutely great artist.
it was like, wow, that works.
I give him that.
That music
he's a great artist.
works with this guy's performance art.
Yes.
It works. That shit works. But unfortunately, I felt like they were going, "Oh, we're going to be the new kings of the wisdom.
Right.
We're going to direct, and you should know."
But what
We walk in these circles and we go to those sweats and we go to those sundances, we go to those things, someone's going to, right away pull you by your trenza.
So what specific wisdom do you think
Right?
you guys, like, what specific wisdom do you guys think they were trying to hone in on? The Mexica culture?
Being speaker for our community. Right?
You're right.
Like,
There's different layers of representation
in the
that they
70s,
were trying to.
In the 70s, Led Zeppelin was a speaker for their generation and their community. Right? If Led Zeppelin showed up in downtown LA, or remember when U2 shot that video in LA, fucking thousands of people showed up. They're speaking for that community. They're that generation's voice. That's what happens. You're saying my generational voice, and now I got my homies with me, and now we're gonna go all out. Oh wait, stop right there. What's going on right here with this guy?
Yeah.
Before you go on, because both of you aren't from here,
Yeah.
and and it seems like you are. But people who were born and raised here have certain traumas. It's not because we're gang members and we're tough and we've been to the Pinta 5 times. It's because my brother lost his brother on the streets of Los Angeles. I just explained to you that I lost my elementary school friend.
Yep.
And everywhere we looked, the fucking door was closed and there was only one fucking door open. Gangs and prison. But me and Lucas, we climbed the fucking wall. We broke down the door. What's in here? Oh, shit.
Right.
You're here.
Yeah.
Uncle Longwalker's here.
We broke through that other door that they had locked for us.
Yeah. They wanted us to go to jail.
Yeah.
Prison. I mean, prison or gangs. You had two
that's
doors.
maybe the reason why
Or the military.
my parents moved out of East LA and they took us to Downey
Yeah.
when we were kids.
Yeah.
Just a couple miles away, but it was a whole different environment.
It's a whole different environment.
I have another podcast for us that I'm going to invite an individual who has a thesis on what he called. I hope I get it right. Oh man, what do they call? prison culture, right? Where going to prison is cool. When we grew up, the guy that came out of prison, he was acting like, oh, I'm on vacation here.
You have to respect.
You know, we've had parties for homies that got out of prison. Like
Yeah.
literally 50, 100 heads come through and we're celebrating.
Yeah,
But we're not celebrating my cousin who just graduated with a bachelor's degree.
in the same manner.
Yeah. But see, that's what he's talking about. Prison culture. It went from profound, abundant wisdom to being the toughest guy to go to prison first. And then get your stripes when you come out. But what if you take 10 years? That's a long time to give someone.
Yeah,
And I'm not, that's just the way they set it up for us.
yeah,
Again, we are all sovereign. If you decided to take that road, you decided to take that road, and I love you just the same.
yeah, man. I mean, it's
It's not. We're not talking shit.
It's not an easy road.
Yeah.
It's not an easy road. It's a very hard road. It's a very challenging road. It's a very there's some goodness in there, and there's a lot of bad. So it's not a passing judgment on anybody that walks that path, because my brother walked that path. The majority of my homies walked that path, and they there are some of them are still on that path, and so it's not a judgment. It's just an observation of those of us that were able to, like you said, break that other door down and then be like, oh damn, this is history. And in that history, or we ask the questions. There's like one of those like doors that there's like a little, like, what's the password, right? And our password was like a question, right?
What's over there?
Hey, it was like, what's happening over here?
Yeah.
Like, wait, what's that? And then the guy on the other says, like, that's what we wanted to hear. Open the door.
Perfect. That's a perfect explanation.
And then it's like, damn, we find,
Sweat Lodge.
We find Sweat Lodge. We find other brothers and
Jerry
sisters walking
Trujillo.
up there.
Armando.
Jerry Teo or Bobby Trujillo.
Bobby Trujillo, that's it.
Uncle Long Walker, Frank Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Tata Quashley. You find these, our tias. Gloria Arellanes
And you also find the darkness in that.
Yeah.
You find the bad guys that, not bad guys. I don't want to say bad guys. They're just not well trained.
Well, yeah, it's the, again, going back to the ego, right? Because I think ultimately that is always, from my understanding of our ceremonies, and I think you, in one of your tracks, you mentioned it, that we make our life harder. We use ceremony to make our life, to give us the challenges so that life isn't that hard.
Yeah. Learning to suffer.
Learning to suffer, and then through that suffering, we self-impose suffering, right? Some people might call it self-imposed trauma, right?
Yeah.
Going up on the hill, or
No, it is.
or even just going for rounds inside the lodge, or even danza, danza and the just putting those intentions down with your feet and having to master that practice. It's self-imposed trauma, if you want to say, right?
Yeah.
But it's a self-discipline, really, and that's what our ceremonies really helped us with, to get that self-discipline. But then again, we're humans, and we have this thing called ego inside us that is ever present, ever trying to push it, and sometimes some of these, mostly men, we fall to these egos, and we just have to learn how to pick ourselves up. And like one of our tias says, like, don't judge ourselves too harshly, and keep walking.
Absolutely. That's humility.
And that's humility. That's where we have these tios and tias that we can mention,
Right.
and that's also part of our
Uncle
receipts.
Tony.
Uncle Tony, Tia Xochimilco,
Xochimilco.
Josefina,
Jose Maldonado.
Jose Maldonado,
With his community work.
yeah, And,
Everybody. There's a lot of contributors. Uncle Al Gonzalez with Peace and Dignity. Run.
Tupac Enrique out there in Phoenix.
Tupac,
You know, it's
absolutely.
like Gustavo Gutierrez gave his life
Rest in peace.
to the Peace and Dignity journey.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, we learned, these are our teachers. And so when I saw another aspect of like, you know, Iron Jacket was okay, so who are your teachers?
Yeah.
You know, because it's not that we're going to judge you based on your teachers, but we're going to at least understand where you're coming from.
Open the door.
Yeah.
When you knocked on the door and you said, what's going on in there? Right?
Yeah.
Because the person's going, how the fuck did you get to this door?
Yeah.
Huh? How the fuck did you get to this door? Out of all the doors, out of the hundreds and millions of doors, you picked this door. And you don't know the password, but the password was, what's going on in there?
Yeah.
Who's in there? Oh, you came home, mijo.
Yeah.
Here you are. And that's what gives you the credit. That's why we ask for Tasako Ashley. That's why we ask for, when I tell you, oh yeah, my uncle's Uncle Al. Oh, Peace and Dignity Run.
Yeah.
You know, there's
That
people that put in work.
Because you can also go and ask them,
Yeah.
right? Hey, you know, you can go and ask, you know, Tony, hey, you know, what's up with Lucas? And he'll tell you. You know?
Yeah.
And or you can go and ask Al.
Yeah.
Or you can go and ask, you know,
I can't ask Russell Means though.
Bobby Murillo. Yeah, you can't. You know, these are like, you know,
Because Russell Means is dead.
or his maybe his children.
Yeah.
You know, if they saw him around, you know, but you know, that's just one. You know,
yeah, there's lots of them in our road.
know?
Like if you tell Armando,
Well,
not Armando, ¿cómo se llama el otro? The one that goes to the sweat lodges with, his name Armando, but he hangs out with Jerry.
oh, okay, Lawrence.
Yeah, Armando Lawrence. You ask Armando Lawrence, hey, do you know Zero? Oh yeah, he's a part of El Vuh. I've sweated with them several times, and Armando's done massive work in Los Angeles for our community. You know,
He continues to.
That's what I didn't see.
Yes.
I didn't see that. I gave it up to what he learned. Again, I'll reiterate, you know, dedicate 10 to 12 years to anything and you're gonna be able to walk and talk like Iron Jacket. You know? And not to say that me and Lucas didn't want to, oh wow, we're fake, we're just talking shit about, bro, I have 5 kids. You know, Lucas has a daughter. There's other things in life you know what happened? Is that we understood that we were in jail. Right. Even if we were out of jail.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So that and so we start fucking opening doors and we opened up the right door, which was meant to be like our road is destined. You know, this is medicine. We were in the same sweat lodge the first time just because.
Right.
Lawn Walker was trying to open up hearts. Okay.
Portals.
Hey, U20, we're opening up the portal for you guys. Okay.
Right.
Next.
Boom.
Next.
Boom. Damn. I mean, that was life changing.
Yes.
That was life changing. I came back to LA from that lodge and I questioned my reality. You know, and that was the most amazing experience. Because that's so vivid. It's like yesterday when I'm questioning my colonization, right? My this reality that I was taught, right, of Catholicism, right? This, you know, por mi culpa, you know, idea that we're at fault, and now there's like and then having that fear, right? That fear of how, that fear of how, and I'm like, whoa, this was another reality.
Yeah.
This is another worldview where how really doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it don't.
And I'm like, wow. And there was just that realization that just I wanted to push forward and see what else is in here, what else is in this room, you know, and it's these experiences that I think have shaped our view of when we see somebody like this dude that comes through, and we know because we've experienced these things that you need to have, you know, receipts, I guess as they say now. You have, you know, not to say like here's my portfolio and, you know, all that. But, you know, if you're coming to a whole brand new community or even social media. It's a world in itself, a community, a whole world in there. You're kind of obligated, to put down, who your teachers are, because now it doesn't give you credibility per se, but it gives you like, oh, then he's learned from solid people.
Something just hit me like an epiphany right now. You know why it's important? Because they're passing the baton to you, bro.
Right.
Who passed the baton to you?
Right.
That's all I want to know. It doesn't have to be anybody big, strong. It doesn't have to be anybody of that, but you never showed who passed the baton to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's it's not, we're not asking for receipts on who you know and who knows your character and how much you, that's not what we're asking for. We're asking you, this is fucking hard ass work. Because when we walk into that room, they opened the door very lovingly and sat us down and opened up the portal. I mean, and then Lawn Walker says, good luck with your work. Good luck with your work.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the work, Uncle? What's the work? What's the work? What's this work that you're talking about, Uncle Lawn Walker? Because you just opened up my heart, Uncle Lawn Walker. You brought me back home. I remember it just like the other day, like you said. We get in the lodge, bro. We're in the lodge. We're in our birthday suit. Uncle Lawn Walker looks at all of us. Says, you guys sweat before? Everybody looks at each other and we're scared and we're just like, fuck, what's gonna happen next? We have no idea. Nobody explains shit. They just get in.
Yeah, exactly.
He's all, and he said, you guys look familiar. Are you sure you guys know sweat? Maybe in a past life. Close the door. That was the last thing he said. Then I hear, and he does this.
Got into the songs.
The Locota songs. Maybe in a past life, he said. You guys look familiar. You guys sweat before? Maybe in a past life. Oh.
That's exactly what we did. It reminds me of that one episode. It was I think it was the last episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And he's fighting the Fire Lord, and he can't connect to the Avatar's state, and all of a sudden, like, he gets hit in this one back and the spot in his back, and all of a sudden he gets connected with all his past lives.
Whoa.
That's kind of like what I see there.
Exactly.
That's what kind of like what connected us to that.
Yeah.
To that force.
Yeah.
I just remember being in the dark and then just the heat.
Yeah.
And the heat is just, it's like
intense.
I was like, everything was natural. Everything was nature. The earth, the water, the stones, the fire, the air. And it just, that's what kind of, I was like, this is.
That kept you together.
This is, when I came home, I brought that medicine. I was damn, and it still hadn't been explained to me. I still had to figure it out on my own, but.
You had enough.
Yeah.
You were like filled with something.
Yeah.
Like maybe the best way I could describe it was Uncle Lawn Walker would look at us and go, oh, okay, you've been taught one reality. This is all you know. Right? Because he used to go, we used to have to stay up all night and take care of the land. And, it wasn't easy. Yeah. You want to be tough. You want to protect the people. You want to be the community leader. Okay, cool. This is what you got to do. Stay up all night. Go to sweat in the morning. Eat maybe once a day.
Maybe.
And
then it was a little small portion because everybody ate first before.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the way it was.
Learn.
And so for me, it was like, I'm in there in dark. I'm going, you got to get out of here. What are you doing? You don't even understand what they're saying. Get out of here. Get out of here. What? Just get out of here. And then boom. Don't you remember this? That's the voice that came into my head. Don't you remember this? This is home. This is home. It brings tears to my eyes, bro.
Dude, it's
guys, 657-859-9040. Wednesday's discussions. It's a great segment. We have plenty of viewers tuning in right now live. I really appreciate the chat is lit.
Yeah.
Right, guys?
It's an emotional topic because, to be honest with you, Lucas, I was hoping he was the real deal. I was hoping like, wow, some dude came through like
at that level, right?
Yeah, like
at that
whoa.
level.
So the consensus is he's not the real deal.
I'm not gonna put that judgment on, but I know that I have a lot of things that I still are inconsistent with, and I don't want to make it look like I want to tell you, Armando, that was disillusioned by like the Cholowani thing and all that stuff. That's just a tiny fragment of medicine. Real medicine, you talk about that day and you come home teary-eyed. That's real medicine, not a hyped up version and really nicely put together. And like I said, he's a great performance artist. He really concentrated on his craft,
his persona, or
everything. Just 10 years. Just imagine, I'm going to learn this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you know, he put that.
Is he the real deal? No.
But, you know, I did speak to you off air a few weeks back regarding the whole situation where he deleted his page. He took a couple of weeks off before he made the announcement. And I was telling you, right, Zero, I was like, look, bad publicity is good publicity. And I have a feeling he's going to blow up.
And he did.
And then you called me as soon as he released the video. You're like, look, dude, you nailed it.
I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was going to come back from that, Lucas. I didn't think he was going to come back with anything. I thought, done.
I was surprised too.
Yeah.
I was surprised. And at first I was kind of like, you know, because there's all these, it's like kind of like,
is it entertaining?
Yeah, it became like, is this entertaining? Is this real? Is this just like, you know, so much going on right now with cancel culture? But then I had to pay attention because like as I started reading the comments, right, pro and con, I was like, whoa, this is a serious issue
for a small type of a community that's essentially.
It's not small.
But see, this is the thing, though.
It's not small.
I think
it's not small.
With prayers bringing him on his video, I think it opened up for more.
The floodgates. It just basically opened up
to people that were not even on any native path, right?
Which is a good thing.
Which is great. I'm actually kind of like right now just looking at it, is like, man, I mean, this guy probably gave us more exposure. Just by having this conversation right now is exposing us to people that may not have even known about this podcast
or the path,
you know,
or this path. That's why I'm saying this show is not about bashing Iron Jacket. I've said it a couple times that he's inspired me.
Because all the other
inspired me. As
response videos, like all the other response videos I've seen on YouTube and on TikTok, whatever, they're just like bashing, just going.
Well, that's that cancel culture shit.
Yeah.
That's like, move aside, brother. I'm better than you. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying if you decide to utter the words of our ancestors and represent it in a way that is communal, then you're asking for a lot. And you need all them that we mentioned. Mm-hmm. You need all them elders. Well, you think I didn't want to walk away from this movement? I spent my whole life on this movement. I need my children after this movement. Mm-hmm. You don't think I need my abuelos? I need my abuelos. You think I'm going to come out of here by myself and go, yeah, I have the answer for all my community without my abuelos? You're tripping. Mm-hmm. You're tripping.
Yeah, I think definitely it comes from a place, I think, of where people are tired of watching cultural appropriation. You know, from the small community you mentioned. I think that's where some of that critique is coming from, of the cultural appropriation of how this one dude who might happen to be white can represent like this.
Right.
Right. And at the same time, it's like, well, aside from some of the eccentricity, but like the living off the grid, I mean, it's maybe you're not. Maybe the critiques, should be in critiquing him is also a self-critique of why aren't you already doing that? Or at least working towards that. Or
well, that's his biggest defense. His biggest defense in his response video is that I'm answering you in a language you don't even know how to talk to. Talk, right? I'm answering back to you in a language you don't even know of, because your information comes from Chicano studies, classes. I got news for you, Iron Jacket. It didn't come from there. Me wearing the Mexica shirt when I first met you, it didn't come from Chicano studies classes. It came from the breakdown of that pantli and what it meant. That was the last flag that we would see. And that's why the eagle's black. And that's why this pantli, the eagle's brown, because we completed our 500 years. And I have all my abuelos that tell me that we have. I love you, man. I love what you've dedicated and what you've created. This is not a bashing video. This is community, young kids, people who felt like Iron Jacket was the next coming of the Tlatoani. Open your eyes bigger, because there's a lot more like him. And they may not have his regalia, and they may not have his tattoos, and they may not have his story, but they do have medicine. Yeah. Real medicine. And I'm not saying that he didn't have real medicine, but when you can recall a day in your life and your tears come, you know that uncle had medicine.
Yeah.
We thrive on doing our best to deliver medicine on a daily basis, right? Like on our podcast for every segment, right? Zero, like to me, that's so sacred. That's so important to do it in a responsible level, Yeah.
Well, you know what medicine is? Medicine is truth.
Yeah. Well, we've had dozens, if not hundreds of comments from fans expressing themselves regarding this podcast on how we're helping them through the journey of like living a similar lifestyle, like how Iron Jacket would quote unquote claim to be living, and of course Zero, yourself,
Lucas.
So I just hope if he bounces back 100%, that he understands that, hey, this is a community you can't
manipulate us.
You cannot manipulate. You can't be fake. Am I right?
100% correct.
Do you know I got gifted my hawk?
Like
wing?
Zero. Like I call you, I text you like, man, check out this message a fan sent us, and they're just like overwhelmed on the type of knowledge you're spitting on this podcast, and it's like to the point. It's like it's so humbling. It's I feel privileged to be a part of a podcast like this, and for you to deliver such good medicine like that. But I just hope if he bounces back, man, just
do it in a good way, brother.
Right.
Do it in a good way.
We have so many children looking up to you, so many teens.
Yeah. Inspiring them.
He's very cutting edge with his style and his approach.
His diet, his raw meat diet, that's noble. That's hard to do. It's not easy. Here's another thing that and if we're in the social media aspect, and I'm not saying it to bash it, but another red flag for me was that you had a lot of women around you, brother. None of them spoke. None of them sat right next to you and said, hey, this is my knowledge. At whatever level of knowledge it is. I can't tell Jenny to shut up. That's a no-no in my familia. And I don't tell her what to say. That's a no-no in my familia. She has to say what she has to say when she says it and when she feels it. And if I'm around a female, everybody's going to hear from her. But we're all human. I'm not going to try to say I won't walk this earth for the rest of my life in that way. But for now, in this moment, while I carry the torch of our fucking genocide and our antepasados and Armando and Jerry Trejo and all the other brothers that put faith in my music and my art, yeah, my woman's gonna talk. Whoever I'm around, they're gonna talk.
Yeah.
I could. There's, you know what I mean? It's just truth.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You, if you're around women, let them talk. Let them talk. Not talk shit about you. How they were in love with you and da da da. No.
Yeah.
Not that. I don't care about your relationship. I care about how he views you as a woman. Because you should already know, even if you had the most wisdom, you always humble yourself to a woman.
And I would
right? Am I wrong? In the circles that I've ever been,
and your
Lucas?
true partner will stand up and defend you in any way, shape, or form, right?
That right? Or call you out.
Or call you out.
More likely, call you out.
More likely.
More than defend you, she'll call you out. But that's better. Because then she's saying, don't talk shit to the community. You fucking, when I go off the handles with her in the argument and I start cussing at her and getting belligerent, because I can, because that's where I grew up and that's supposedly the way it's supposed to be done, she calls me on that. You need to walk like, and you know what I do? I try my best to shut the fuck up.
We gotta check ourselves.
Yeah, I try my best to shut the fuck up because that's a woman. Right?
Yeah.
Someone called me out here and she was a woman and I didn't say one thing. And when I did address, my woman was right here. Women need to have a representation in this culture.
And that speaks volumes, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely speaks volumes.
When I saw Uncle Tony, Xochimilco's right there.
Yeah.
When I saw Tony run a ceremony, she was right there. And I didn't see him tell her to do anything. She did it.
When we were in lodge first time,
yeah,
his wife was right there.
Absolutely. That's where I learned it from.
You know?
Uncle Lon Walker and the relationship that Uncle Lon Walker had with Warrior Woman, that's where I learned.
Yeah.
You don't tell women what to do. Even if they're not as knowledgeable as you. Because the one thing you don't know how to do, Iron Jacket, is have a baby, my friend. You don't know how to carry life in your stomach for 9 months.
And have that monthly
and the connection with the Luna.
And I think when I was watching his response, and this is kind of like where we'll see where that goes, but his response at the end, like I guess to, I don't know if she was one of the accusers, but he was trying to say how she was like just constantly trying to like get with him. I don't know if that was the point of that, of those like text or messenger screenshots, but it was like, it was in a, it just kept going. It was like a whole 5 minutes of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, where's, there's other accusations.
That's not what I wanted to hear from the women. I didn't want to hear how you were in love with them or how he didn't love you or how he treated you. I wanted to know what you contribute to the community that he was building. Or was he the engineer, the philosopher, the organizer, the head priest? Shit. If you're going to do that, you might as well have all the babies too. You know what? Women, I know by being a father, what it's like for a woman to carry my child for 9 months and still clean the house and still provide love and still try to be beautiful and sexy. Not because of that, but she's just trying to be her flower. And she's in a condition where she's going to have a baby. That's a very intense, uncomfortable situation.
Road.
It's a road. It's a commitment.
It's a commitment. The ultimate commitment.
The ultimate commitment. And then
that's the ultimate commitment.
That's why we Sundance.
Exactly.
Because we can't do that. And my friends, look up Sundance. It's a hard thing to do. I'm not a Sundancer yet. But I know people who are.
Yeah. It's a strong path, man. It's a strong path, and it's for those. It was, in some teachings, it was for the men because of that.
Yeah.
To have an understanding of, just a little minute understanding, not even a full, or even half an understanding, or even a quarter. Probably just slight slight understanding, and with that slight understanding, it just opened up our minds, and as men,
to humble ourselves, to women,
to respect that.
Not give them complete power and let them tell you what to do. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when someone makes love with you, carries your child, and you have that child, and both of you take care of it in the best way that you can, even if you're separate, in the best way you can. I'm dedicated because I'm her father. And that's it. And the woman has to carry the emotion of that. What's that seed gonna be like? What am I gonna feed it? Where is it gonna live? La 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 la. And they don't stop thinking about it. That's very different from a man. It's not a tangent. I didn't go off on a tangent. I just didn't know why the female representation wasn't strong with this brother.
Yeah.
Shout out to Daniel. He says he's actually tuning in with us.
Daniel Hawk?
Yes.
Oh.
He says the homie Lucas always had my
what
back.
up, Daniel?
He says the homie Lucas always has my back. Always had my back from the first time I got to Las Aslan. Big ups to him and all the work with Lipa.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
What up, Daniel? I just seen Daniel this weekend. Went to the Bay Area, so yeah, I was chilling with him. It was a fun time. I mean, my wife got mad because I was me and him were having our conversation, but
thank you, brother. It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. I talked to him, Armando.
The chat is
Armando, we're gonna bring Daniel's merchandise and we have a whole there's a lot
Absolutely.
of things.
I can't wait for all these new items to be added to our website. It's remarkable. And we're gonna have Daniel on our Patreon segments, our extended versions.
We're gonna have Lucas.
We're gonna have Lucas.
We're gonna have a lot of community, because the thing is, that's why Armando told me, he came up to me and said, "Hey, Zero, I want to promote your music." I'm like, "Don't promote my music, dude. Promote this. Promote this podcast." Because I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people. I'm not a leader in that way. I lead my family. And if you give me responsibility, I'll commit to that responsibility. But I would like to consider myself a hummingbird warrior. That's what I want to be. I want to defeat my ego in every capacity,
right? And
be the strongest representation for my community, because we have a destiny to go to, and that's to break. Ya cumplimos. We finished the 500-year commitment, right? It's done.
Right.
It's done. It's time to go to work.
It's time to go to work.
Right. So, all of you who got disillusioned by Iron Jacket, and please, let's be grown up, man. It's not Prayer's fault. It's not his fault.
No.
He was being an artist. Straight up. It's not his fault. Don't exploit it though, bro.
Yeah.
Don't exploit it, but it's not your fault. Know that there's been a commitment to breaking the 500 years of genocide. And when we entered that spiritual experience with Uncle, who walked from California to Washington, D.C., he walked there. That to me is a commitment. I'm going to listen to that brother.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to Tata Kwashli, who had the idea for Semillas del Pueblo. I'm going to listen to Uncle Al, who says, run with me on the Peace and Dignity, bro. There's a lot of good people out there, brothers and sisters. There's a lot of special people that are just as special as Iron Jacket, because Iron Jacket is still special in his own way. We have to learn to be tolerant. Learn, but keep a safe distance. And know your place. Me too. You too, me too. No one's bigger than anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, it's important to remember, I think, that the cultural teachings, the traditional teachings are the important part to learn. You know, that we were fortunate enough to have been thrown into the lodge, pretty much.
They grabbed us by our ear.
Yeah, pretty
threw
much.
us in there.
It's just like, here, you know, what am I getting into? It's like, just get your shorts.
Get your ass in there.
And I was like, all right. But now, I mean, like even earlier when you were talking about then coming back home and then doing research, and there was no YouTube.
No.
There was no Google.
It took effort.
There was no going to the phone and looking something up and
There was
having the answer at your head.
There was no going into the sweat lodge with your phone, going live, showing everyone what's going on, right?
No,
Absolutely not.
We were. This was pager time. Pagers where you get the page and like you got to find a public phone or get to your phone and call back. But point is that the access to the information wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
And we had to go through these books. We had to go through those 2, 3, 4 hour videos.
Yeah, long ones. I remember one time I went to Tino's house and he's like, we watched it. It was like we went in there. It was in the morning, and it was already sundown. He's all, "There's one more, boy." It's like, damn.
Dedication.
It was a lot.
It
was like we were being like just information overload.
And that's what it was. It's like Neo getting the getting all that information when he early comes out of the Matrix, and now he's like in the real world, and he's like getting plugged in, and he's just learning all this jujitsu and taijutsu and all this other combat stuff. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just like, and it was the brain. It was our brains, our intelligence, just soaking that truth up, which was it hadn't seen it in all these years. It was like, damn, look at this, look at this truth, look at these facts. Can't deny them.
Right.
And so, I think today, without this access to information real quick, we forget. And we haven't been accustomed to. We haven't been trained in that, or with I think the imposition or of this ADHD, because I also have it. I start reading a book, and probably by the middle of the second page of me reading, I'm already like, oh.
We don't learn that one. We don't learn that one. I noticed when we were going through the think tanks that the more I absorbed was from video, and then the more I retained was from reading because it was so hard.
Yeah.
For us, because we didn't go. First of all, I went to 9th grade, and my reading skills were not very good at all. But I jumped into these books that had really long words, and it would take me forever to. I went Malcolm X on this shit.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, I'll just get a dictionary, and I want to know the truth. I want to know what the Mayas were. I want to know what the Mexicas were. I want to know what Sitting Bull. I want to know what Geronimo.
Yeah.
I want to know why they resisted. Because I know why I resist.
Yeah.
So that it took commitment. That's what it took.
Right.
It took commitment.
And I think that's one of the things of that Iron Jacket, like you mentioned, he put some commitment down to learn these things.
Yeah.
And it's not taking that away from him.
No.
We're not taking that away from him. It's just the representation, like you said. This is a path you walk. This is not a performance art. But you can. But by the way you walk, you can treat it like that. You can treat it into like this performance, this eccentricity, this alter ego, or this other persona, and eventually just the culture will bring you down. The teachings will bring you down. Like you said, like there was no women representation in his response. Like if that's if you're saying that you're creating this whole new nation or this whole new movement or this example, you're gonna set this example. But you're showing women that are all against you because they were in love with you, because they were in love with this persona, with this performant artist, and then it turned out that's not what it was. That's part of the letdown, I think, that these women started coming out, and are their accusations factual? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's another aspect, it's like
they could be jealous, jealousy, all that stuff.
It could be from a host of different. Each one has a different reason. Some there might be factuals in theirs, and then it might be, fictional
Absolutely.
stuff in there. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell, and so But I think going back is like we need to understand that the medicine is what's important.
Yeah.
You know, that take time out of your life, or add time to your life, maybe. That's how we should say. Add time to your life to learn these things, to get in touch with the medicine.
On your own.
Not take time, add time. That's a different twist, because going back to the paradigm shift that we were talking about earlier, you know, even in our language, we need to shift, right? We need to shift into, you know, if anything that he showed us, that we need that shift now.
Yeah.
You know, people are hungry for that shift. But it's not just, I'm following this dude, that's enough. No. Okay, you're going to follow through action.
Right.
An example.
Yeah. Like, here's a good way of dealing with it. If someone said, hey, Ruben, someone said that, you know, you beat up Jenny. What would I do? Jenny, go. There's Jenny.
Ask her.
Go ask her. I don't need to show you her texts of blah blah blah, and just ask her. I don't need to represent her. I don't need to show you my love letters to show you why or whatever. Go ask Jenny. That's the way we need to walk on this earth.
Yeah.
Someone accusing you, go ask them. Here's me. Here's people that know me. Oh, you need receipts?
Right.
Uncle Al?
And so that's why it also creates this confusion, right? Because accusations come out, but they're like, well, who taught you? You know, one of the elders that we can no longer ask.
Right.
You know, I don't know, there's some other, a picture of another dude, another native brother, and I don't know who he is either. I don't know his story. You know, I would have to do some research. I'm sure I could find, you know, and today we can find everybody.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, but that still doesn't mean I can find somebody and still know their character.
Right.
Or, you know, how they represent, how they walk in their community. You know, we can have somebody, you know, like you said, like a person on Instagram, you go back to their community and they're like, this guy's, he's not welcome here. But online, he's like a whole other, you know?
Yeah.
So I think part of the fact that he doesn't have that, you know, that background, we can look at it and be like, hey, you know, so what's up with this guy? It's like, oh, well, he's like this. And it kind of like, you know, go back in the projects, ask him, was like, what's because Lucas like that? And, or he was like this when he was growing up, or he got fucking, he got jumped a couple of times, and he fucking doesn't think straight after that.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
Or, I remember that dude. He got the tattoo of Sutrese, and then they you know, they fucking beat the shit out. Oh, I remember that dude. You know?
Yeah.
It's East LA's.
It's all convoluted. It becomes
it's very
like,
small.
It's very small, and you know, the history, you know, it's really small.
Yeah,
I mean,
you hear stories. If somebody got shot, you heard that story. Hey, did you hear they shot that dude over there?
Yeah.
You just heard it. You just were traveling through the city. You knew people from different areas, and that's all you had. You were in the prison camp that was of that time. You know.
Yeah.
And you had to deal with your poverty, and you had to deal with other people's poverty that resulted in violence against you.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing to look at. And that's why, you know, when you take this path, you have to have a vision of a greater vision. So to not take things personal.
Yeah.
You know, and then the micro vision, the specific. That's you. How are you walking? What is your word? How much weight does your word have? Because I know I've met Uncle Al. He doesn't really talk much, but his words have weight. Not because he's saying profound things, but because I know that brother fucking ran 20 miles in one day to bring those staffs to where it needed to be. You know, 20 miles in one day. And then got up and did it again.
Yeah.
That's a commitment. There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut to being Tlatuani. There's no shortcut. No. There's no shortcut.
You know, and I think maybe going back, this is part of the misconceptions that many of our people also have about what is our culture. You know, for instance, you mentioned Tlatoani, right? That, and you know, they came with their Spanish language and they call them El Emperador. But that's a whole other social, political position that in Europe. We had nothing here. Here, if you were Tlatoani, no matter where, you earned that. And the community gave you that position.
More than anything.
More than anything.
More than anything, the abuelos.
The abuelos.
Gave
And
you
the
palabras.
abuelas.
And more than anything, the abuelas.
The abuelos would be like, well, I don't know. Let's see what
You know
they
who's
say.
a good example of Tlatoani? I think he was the greatest example of Tlatoani modern day was Subcomandante Marcos. Because he had to just do speeches, right? But he was not a general. He was not leader of the council of abuelos that nobody saw.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The abuelos said, oh, and if he said something wrong, they will make him, hey, go back and you need to correct that.
Yeah.
That was wrong. Because if you went in your own emotion, you know, Subcomandante would have to correct himself.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, you would have to be humble to the community that's asking you to do that.
Right.
If you don't do that, then you're not Tlatoani.
Right. Great example.
Yeah. That's what I think.
No, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't a
Because he was a subcomandante.
yeah, he was a subcomandante. And a lot of people like, oh, he's the leader. It's like, no, it's in the word. Sub.
Yeah.
That means he's under.
Yeah. Sub.
And there's a you know, a circle above him of comandancia.
Yeah.
Of command so
And they were all old.
and they were all some were
well.
younger than him.
Yeah. There you go.
And there was elders, but there was a good representation of the community. And so, you know, but we see, you know, sensationalization of leadership roles here because of
His eloquence.
Yeah.
Like Iron Jacket.
Yeah.
We sensationalize because of his eloquence. What a brilliant mind, though. You inspired me, Iron Jacket. Now I'm 20 years dedicated to something.
Right.
Right? Learning my language, living off the grid, creating a safe space for my family to live off the grid, especially during a time of chaos where they're trying to mandate something poisonous to you. Introduce something poisonous to you, you know? We won't get into that. That's another podcast. But we're talking about Iron Jacket, man, and our humble response to it. Because no one in this world should be judged. If he made a mistake, he'll have to deal with it on his own. And the people that come with it, there's plenty other people that are talking shit, right, Armando?
Right, and I would think for all the people that would moving forward type in those keywords Iron Jacket on YouTube, they will stumble upon our video. They will stumble upon your response, and I would just like to let them know. Hopefully, you guys take this response a little different compared to the other responses because it's pure negativity on those other channels.
Yeah.
We grew up in the school of hard knocks, bro. In elementary school, someone was trying to bully you.
Right. This is not a clout chasing segment talking about Iron Jacket.
This is a healing segment.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a healing segment from someone who we had a little bit of faith in.
Zero's not a TikToker.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to give you a very intense 3-minute report on Iron Jacket.
With some creepy, music layered in the background.
No, that's not me. I'm going to tell you the truth and what my heart feels because I'm a community. People pass the baton to me.
There's layers to this.
Yeah.
And these are two gentlemen here from East LA, from Boyle Heights, who represents the tierra right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. We're sub comandante. We're like, even though there is a comandancia and they tell us, hey, you guys got palabra, we still have that humble of like, no. We're here.
Yeah.
We're comfortable here. I'm comfortable being here. I'm not trying to sensationalize myself. I'm a father. I have 5 children. I built a superfood business and I brought it to East LA. That's what I'm humble. Don't sensationalize me. Appreciate my poetry. Live in the poetry that's given to me because I live in it and it's a beautiful gift. But don't sensationalize me. I could make mistakes. I will make mistakes. People have a hard time with my cannabis addiction, right? That's what it is. You know, I'm not gonna lie about it, but I'm not destructive.
Right.
I'm not. I don't need to explain myself because I just want to be a part of your community. If you find me eloquent, if you find Lucas eloquent, if you find Armando eloquent and intelligent, know that you can be the same thing with that dedication. That's what we're trying to say here.
Right.
You can be the same thing. You could be Iron Jacket. You could be better than Iron Jacket. You know? It was just a free-for-all for the brother. And if you only have to tell tidbits of your story, then, you know, and then, you know, that's what people are into. Let me hear you don't want to hear the 4-hour version.
Right.
You want to hear the, 3-minute.
The
3-minute report or some shit.
Those sound bites.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I mean, it's like I said earlier, like a few minutes ago, it's layered. This is a whole layered conversation.
Well,
and so we're just trying to unpack some of the different layers and just kind of lay them out so that, you know.
So we won't get taken advantage of.
Yeah. So people understand out there that you know, there was another brother from East LA too, that also kind of co-signed him. And, you know, he didn't know any better. He actually, he had some videos talking about that and kind of like, you know, trying to come correct as far as like at least like taking steps back to be like, okay, like I think I probably did this too quickly. And so my thoughts when I was listening to his messages was like, you know, we have to learn how to, you know, not necessarily judge. Some people feel it's judging. Some people feel judged. It shouldn't be that way, but ask questions, you know, ask if something's not sounding right, you know, ask clarifying questions, just, you know, in a way that is not threatening. You know,
it should be questions that you normally ask. It should be questions that you normally. When I tell you, hey man, I went to sweat. Who'd you sweat with? Mm-hmm. That wasn't I'm judging you, motherfucker. Who did you go sweat? It wasn't that.
Who'd you sweat with? I bet.
Exactly. No, it was like, oh, you went to sweat? Oh, yeah. I just went to Arizona. I sweated with so and so.
Damn.
You know.
And it's like the next.
I sweated
like,
with Uncle Tupac. I sweated with Uncle Tupac. Tona Tierra.
Yeah.
I know where his medicine
I'll be like, hey,
from.
fool, I haven't sweated with him yet.
Well, there you go. I've never either, but I'm just saying, that's automatic.
Yeah.
In this commitment to heal our people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's automatic. You know, the respect that we give the people, because you know, Uncle Tupac, Uncle Al, Uncle Armando, they don't get recognized. I'm gonna recognize them. Mm-hmm. But they really don't get recognized. You know, they didn't have podcasts.
Yeah.
They didn't have YouTube. If they did, believe me, this would be a different place. This would be a different place if those uncles had the outreach. But it was meant to be who they are and where they are, and we need to love them, respect them.
Exactly.
And there was a call. So before I get into that, but just to let it rest in a humble way, in a good way, Iron Jacket has inspired our whole community to dedicate ourselves, to make a commitment that whether it be if you're overweight, lose the weight, bro. Mm-hmm. Dedicate 10 years to losing the weight. I did. Changing my diet dramatically, I did it. You know? Learning my language, I didn't. Learning learning and implementing Masatsin's breakdown of the calendario, I didn't. But that's my 10-year commitment. I want you to come to me and say, oh yeah, your birthday's this. I know who you are. I know your cosmic position in life. Mm-hmm. And I know how to address you. It's painful to live through the sensationalization of someone and then have that someone let you down with his human acts. Mm-hmm. You know, no one's taking away his commitment to being raw or being off the grid or knowing the language and whatever it is that he does. No one's taking that away. I didn't. But Armando, I kind of feel the same way you do too. Like even if he came back, it would be a less powerful punch. Mm-hmm. You know? It's almost like, you were afraid of this one person that just, you thought he had a powerful punch, but he just turned out he doesn't. He has the same punch that you have. It's the same amount of force, same amount of, and I know that when I came to address this, the Creator puts the people in the right paths to do it, and you're that person, I feel. Because you're light skinned.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't want people to. This is not a race thing. This is not about being a white boy, and that's a whole nother thing that they went off on, and they were so disillusioned. This guy's white. This guy's white. This guy knows the language, bro. Do you know it? Like correctly, like can say sentences and shit. And even if he's reading it, at least he knows how to read it.
Yeah.
Don't take anything away from someone that someone learned just because of the color of his skin. It does not discredit the time or the commitment that he took to learn it. Here's my best example. He didn't say it, but Lucas is gone to big ceremonies. I'm not going to say which one, but he has made that commitment. He's my big brother because of that commitment. And he didn't tell me that. And he'll never tell me that. He'll never go, hey. He'll tell me when I'm doing shit that I'm not supposed to do. Like anyone would. I would tell him too.
Exactly.
What the fuck you doing over there drunk? Or me? That's the way it works.
That's family right there.
That's the way it works.
That's family. Yeah, I mean, I don't, if you don't tell me when I'm fucking up, then it's hard to trust you. Because then, you don't really have my well-being in mind. It's not about holding people accountable. Like, oh, I'm gonna go and talk shit to you because it's bringing attention to bad behavior, or self-destructive behavior, or some kind of like, we're trying to cope with a trauma, something like that. That we have to tell each other, how we have to help heal each other.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to like this issue, it's this is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're with this disillusionment. It's turn it inward and be like, okay, what can I do to make this better?
Yeah.
What can I do to not to be disillusioned? It's not like, oh, all this native stuff is whack. I'm just not gonna even.
But some people would say that.
Some people probably did that.
Yeah. No, that's fake. All of them are fake.
Yeah.
All of them. Lucas, Uncle Al, all of them are fake. They're fake. That's breaking my heart. And that breaks my heart.
That is what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
That breaks my heart, Armando.
And this is why those people who feel that way need to pay attention to this podcast.
The reason Armando, he talks very highly of me, and I'm humble. I always humble myself to him, but I kind of figured it out. Is that he's seen me walk the same way for 20 years, or for however long he known me. I'm the same dude. I'm the same guy. I never treated him less. I never treated him more when he's doing more for me. It's been the same treatment. It's consistency, and that's what brother didn't have. He didn't have consistency.
Yeah, in his story, in his, his path, his walk, and I think that's the be consistent.
Yeah.
If anything, like, okay, well then be consistent.
Yeah.
He wasn't consistent, then you be consistent.
Yeah.
That's one of my major flaws. Consistency.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is I can't work on. It's just something I need to focus on.
That's the inner.
And I think that's like, if anything, like what, because he still has fans. And I think that's another problem with that, is that the fans are still looking at him in that way. So that's another aspect of that, is like that there's people still following him in a very blind state of mind.
They're holding on to something.
They're holding on to something. Yeah, they're like holding on to this, like this hope you said, right? And I think there's a danger of, if he comes back, that he needs to walk that path better. than he has so far.
That red road.
That red road, but or because there's red road, and then there's like Takwashi mentioned another word in Nahuatl, which means the same thing, but from what I understand, red road is like mostly attached to like Lakota ceremonies, and so this brother, it's not clear what he follows. It's not for him to be, for us to be like, oh, are you a pipe carrier? Are you this? Are you that? Are you it's not that. It's just you can kind of tell sometimes by the way they talk and the teachings that they put out, where they're coming from. Coming from some red road, but also I think he called it Ignillo. I'm right now remembering Ignillo, and it had to be like the path of the heart, something like that with the heart, and so which is the same thing. Ultimately, it's the same purpose to walk as a better human being, and if anything, like if people are still gonna follow him, then make sure that he follows that. That's the challenge to those people. Okay, you're his followers, you're his, I won't call them fans, but depending on how you talk about him, you also can be like, are you a fanatic, or are you just a groupie, a follower? Are you, or what's the purpose of you following him? And that goes for anybody for that matter.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, Lucas? And you knew him just as well as I did. Sergio.
Yes.
Right? He said something profound that changed my life. He's all, I don't go to those fucking speeches and shit. I don't do that bullshit. I was like, fuck, what an asshole. Like, what do you mean you don't go to speeches and hear the dope people talk? And he's all, nah, dude, I don't like doing that. And then I went, why? He's all, because everybody goes to those speeches. They get all fucking fired up and they're like, yeah, listen to him. And then go home and fucking eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and go drink beer and go smoke cigarettes because they went to the rally and that was enough.
That was enough.
Right? I went to Iron Jacket's page. I heard his poem. That's enough. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Don't do that. Don't listen to me and do that. Don't listen to Lucas and do that. Don't listen to Armando and do that. Look inside. The nervous system that I have, you have. The complex brain that developed in your head, you have it. I have it. We both have it. That's what was so brilliant about defeating your own self. Right?
Right.
Defeating the I'm right. Right? Instead of humble. That's why I humble myself to Iron Jacket's wisdom. Anybody's wisdom. I humble to wisdom. But I also know what it's like to carry whatever it is that you're carrying, this medicine, right? It's given, it's not, there's no shortcut to it. Someone gives it to you.
Yeah.
And says, here, like they give the chanupa. Here, you earned the chanupa. You earned the pipe. That's the way I felt with this message. Like, you earned it. Here you go. You carry this message. And that's why I can't sensationalize this individual or sensationalize myself.
Right.
Because when they give you the chanupa, that's humble. Like, you're like, oh, please, thank you. You're not like, here's, hey, get out of the way, man. I'm like chanupa here.
Yeah.
Although some people can carry it.
Some people do it. Some people do it.
But that's the lesson.
Right.
That's the lesson.
Right.
That's the lesson.
Yeah. Then you got to bring in the whole concept of the hayoka. And then you're like, but that's another podcast.
Right.
Episode.
Guys, this has been a jam-packed 2-hour segment right here.
Hey, nobody wanted to call in or chime in?
I think we had a few callers, but we're still going to... This is the first time we created the Google Voice.
Oh, so it didn't come through?
Yeah, we had a couple calls that didn't come through, but the chat was lit. We had plenty of viewers. It was so vital for Zero to give out his response to this, because you are a true influencer in the indigenous community. You know, especially in Los Angeles, right?
I like to say I'm a good
Lucas?
poet. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good poet. That's it.
So if there's anyone that could speak on topics like this, it would be Zero.
In a humble way, in
Absolutely.
a non-judgment way, in a way that we're including everyone in a community that walks the walk.
Right. And if you
Yeah.
guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about this whole matter, please leave those comments in the comment section on the YouTube page. I'll make sure Zero gets to those questions. He'll answer all those questions for you guys. Any last words, Zero?
Yes, I have. There's a few things, if we can get maybe extended just a second.
Go ahead.
Because like we had those uncles that we talked about that were our uncles, because there's many uncles everywhere. There was a certain event that one of our uncles decided to bring out to the community, right? And so this will probably be an answer to not an answer. There's no answer to what happened with Iron Jacket and all that shit. There's
No one
nothing.
answer, but
There's not. But there are active uncles that are trying to continue on with the path and the commitment that we had about healing from 500 years of genocide, because the time is up and now is our time. And I always respected this uncle by the name of Uncle Tupac, right? Was it him that called the...
yeah.
What? Explain what it is.
So, we've been knowing that, this year, 2021, is the 500th commemoration, or the 500th year of the last day of the defense of Mexico Tenochtitlan, now referred to as Mexico City. But when the defenses of the city, that the advances of the Spanish forces, along with native, I won't call them allies, but just native help, native assistance, were able to really decimate Mexico Tenochtitlan, and that there was just a really small number of people left defending it. And so the decision was made August 13, according to some counts, August 13 in 1521, that we're going to lay down the arms, and that's when there's this proclamation or mandato that is ascribed to Tlatuani Cuauhtemoc, where it says, like, we will hide our medicine and our songs, and the mothers will teach the daughters and the fathers will teach the sons, and then it goes into that one day this will have, our son will come back, right? And so there's some questions about the validity of that, but point is that it is not that far-fetched for that to happen, but also that it's something that happened, right?
Well, here's my opinion, and real quick, not to cut you off, but look, they asked, according from the stories I understood, they asked Cuauhtemoc to give up because of the time sequences that we understood.
That's another aspect to it, right? Yeah,
there was time.
So
we understood time.
Yeah.
And time, Masatin will tell you anything in a second. What was the principal teaching, or what did they keep or revere or understand the most? Was time.
Right.
If you know time, then you know when it's gonna end for you.
So going back to time, right? It's 500 years later.
Absolutely.
And so now we're looking at this cycle of 500 years, and we're looking at it as like, well, we're still here, but the mentality needs to change. And so Uncle Tupac put out a call to do something on this day, on August 13th, and he got answered, and different communities are going to have some kind of program, some kind of ceremony on this day, this Friday.
This Friday.
This Friday coming up,
August 13th.
August 13th, we're 500 years later.
500 years.
And so you know, Mexico, actually, Mexico City, they're actually rebuilding one of the temples.
Wow.
You know, on the side in the Zócalo, they're
Still.
like you can't. No, they're like building a new one.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if you saw the pictures.
I have
but
not.
Yeah, it's like out of wood, out of this, right? They're making a new one in commemoration of this day.
Yeah.
So the whole point is that, you know, it's being recognized, but I think the message behind it is that we are coming to an end of this cycle. We are coming to an end of a mentality of victimization, a mentality of feeling sorry for ourselves, a mentality of like we are survivors of our trauma, which we are. But we don't just get stuck there. What we were talking about, like even this whole thing with Iron Jacket is like now we got to move forward and thrive. We got to thrive. We got to change the narrative. We got to change the paradigm. We got to shift it to a productive, a constructive, a healing with a purpose. You could say, you know, healing with a purpose of passing on this medicine to the next generations. You know, to the seven generations, or some say it was 5 that the Nahuatl you looked into 5 generations. The Lakota teach
7.
that it was 7, and so the whole idea was that you work today for not your children's or your children's grandchildren, but your grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. Wow. Right? And so that's our focus now. And so Tupac put out this call. So there's, as far as I understand, it's about 8 or 9 communities in the Southwest that are going to be doing something on this day. And there's about another maybe 2 or 3 in Mexico that are going to be doing something this day, like intentional together. And so our day is we're starting off with a sunrise ceremony at Lincoln Park by Plaza de la Raza. We're going to be gathering there before sunrise and, you know, welcoming the sunrise and saying that this is an end to this kind of mentality.
Wow.
Right? And so with you know, that we're moving forward to rebuild what we lost. What has been lost or what has been hidden, right? And so that's a challenge to all the people that were disillusioned. You're welcome to come that morning, you know, and hear the prayers or hear the intentions being laid out, and then we're gonna have danza, some speakers. So that's the first part of the day here in LA, and then we're moving to Salazar Park, and we're gonna have some program with los abuelitos y las abuelitas there, with the senior citizen, right? With some respecting COVID measures and all sorts of stuff happening because of that. And then at 4 we're moving on to programming for the youth, but it's programming for the people, just from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock when it ends. It's programming. It's I don't want to call it programming. It's just medicine for the people. You know, again, we got to change our language. Medicine for the people, and so with the intention that we're putting this message forward, that we're changing this paradigm. This paradigm. We're changing the way we actually fight the system. We're changing the way that we approach the system.
Wow.
Because that's you know, it hasn't worked for us for the past 50 years.
Yeah.
It's the same, you know. I have conversations like we can't be demanding things from white supremacy that we already know they're not going to give us.
Wow. That's profound.
So we got to take it.
Yeah.
You know, 50 years ago, they were talking about self-determination. Well, self-determination, this is self-determination. Taking it, like becoming sovereign. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Becoming a sovereign people, from the individual to the family to the community to the nation.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes out to. And that's what this call is for. You know, to start that process. It's not going to be a one person or a group or one organization. It's a collective approach, and so that involves you. That involves you out there to get involved in any way, shape, or form that you can. in something traditional, from basket weaving to cloth weaving to agriculture to learning the count of the time to learning the language, to learning the medicines. You can do 2 or maybe 3 of these, but it's commitment, consistency that we have to do this. So they were doing this on February 13 in the morning, and then later on at 2 at Salazar Park. August 13. And this Friday coming up, everyone's welcome to come through. And this is also part of a bigger endeavor is to build a blueprint, to create a blueprint on how this is going to happen. Because it's going to happen. Because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's already conversations I'm having separate. I haven't even brought up this idea of a blueprint, and everybody's on this idea already. We have to change ourselves. We have to change ourselves, and this is the medicine right here. It's okay to go to therapy, but sometimes therapy is they approach it through a Western lens. They approach our colonization through a Western lens, which is the problem. It's like I don't know who. I don't know if it was not Darwin, Albert Einstein, who said that you can't solve a problem. The mind that created a problem cannot be the same one to solve it. The mind that created colonization cannot be the same mind that solved colonization. Decolonization is going to happen by those that were colonized, which is us. Because we have the medicine, we have the teachings, we have the ceremonies, we have the concept like Tezcatlipoca, like Huitzilopochtli, like Xipetotec, like these ideas that are profound. And so using these teachings to decolonize and start learning how to practice native practices.
One step at a time. Kindergarten.
And like you said earlier, you can't cut corners.
No, don't.
There's no cutting corners in this path. It's because we have to leave something for the children. We have to leave something for them to teach. And if we don't, corruption and
there'll always be an iron jacket.
Yeah, everything that we look at this government, everything that we look at this society, that's messed up, that's fucked up, that's impacting us negatively. From everything, from the medicines, from the pharmaceuticals, from GMO, all these different aspects, Hollywood,
COVID.
Oh, COVID, everything, how they're, pre-COVID, post-COVID, ways of controlling us. We need to disconnect. There's revolution, and something I was actually talking about earlier too is there's revolution, and then there's re-evolution. And that's us taking control of our evolution, not letting them control our evolution, how we evolve as human beings. We're taking that. That's what we're grasping. So starting tomorrow as well, as part of this August 13 date, and I'll send you the information so you can post it.
Absolutely.
And it's a series of workshops starting tomorrow, the 12th, all the way to the 26th, I believe, of teachings of, not of us giving you the answers, but of
presenting
information and starting a conversation.
Yeah.
A dialogue. That's what it is. And it's not about we're right and you're wrong. Because that's another aspect of colonization that's happening right now, is like this idea of like, oh, I'm all right. I'm right and you're wrong, and because I disagree with you or you disagree with me, I'm not going to even share words with you. That's not native. Native was sitting down and even this is the teachings of like when we went to war back in the day, because they say, oh well, we had wars back then, and yeah, but we used dialogue diplomacy first. And if it didn't work once, then we tried it again. And then it didn't work again, and we tried. And then, until it was no other option, then we went ahead and engaged in warfare.
Wow, dude, when you said that, I could imagine our abuelos walking 240 years, right? And meeting a tribe and then going, hey, can we do that? Chale. And then they went back, please let us, chale. We're really hungry. Please. There's only one way now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the law of the jungle or the desert or the sea or Mama Tonansi. But if you get better at communicating with other tribes, maybe they will give.
Right.
Maybe they will teach. Maybe they will accept. That's why I felt that when people explained the Mexica, they said they conquered the heart. That, for years, confused me. How do you conquer someone's heart? That's their emotions. That's their trust. That's their love. That's their guidance. That's their... How do you do that? By being genuine. By being direct. By being humble.
Humility. That's one of the virtues, one of the values of native communities all across the continent.
Turtle Island.
And so, it's a profound approach that we're trying to implement. And so welcoming everybody to join us.
This is the concha to this. This is the commitment to breaking the 500 years of ego.
Yes.
Of colonization, of impractical approaches. Leave it for the next generation. That's not me and Lucas.
Yeah.
We weren't leaving it for the next 7 generations or the next generation, because you know what? My daughter's there. My son's there. I gotta leave them a road at least a little better than I left it. That's what they used to say about the Mexica.
Exactly.
When they came, they left it better than they found it. If they were coming to your house, they went, why did you wash the dishes too? Why did you fold my clothes? Oh, because thank you for letting us stay here. Leave it better. That's another thing that we need to implement.
Right. Dude, that's sometimes we go hiking, right? And I'm looking around, it's like, man, people leaving their trash. So take a bag and pick up trash on the way back.
Because this is your tierra.
Yeah,
right?
This is our tierra. This is, we acknowledge the original caretakers of this area.
Absolutely.
But we're also living now. Yeah. And we got to help with the taking care of the earth. So, you go to a place like, sometimes I have where I live, there's an outlook and you can see, the city, and people go there and kick back and they just leave trash. This is your community. Throw that in the trash. There's trash bins right there. Get out of the car, throw it in the trash, or ball it all up, hold it until you get home and throw it in the trash.
Wow.
Little
even
things,
at that small level.
Even that small level, we need to re-educate ourselves.
That reminds me of an experience I had with Jenny. We went to the river, and I wanted to chill with her just one-on-one, and I looked around. I was like, what the fuck? There's trash everywhere.
Yeah.
So she was, enjoying the river, and I just got a bag and I started cleaning up where the radius that me and her were gonna chill in was gonna be clean. And that's what I tried to do as best as I can. I just get that bag, boom, put it in the trash. Look, Iron Jacket had wisdom from wherever he got it, but he didn't have, I feel, humble connection, right? Like, did you walk around with the bag? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to challenge him and, oh, look, he didn't even do that. I'm just saying there's a humility in taking care of even the piece of land that you're on at the moment. Don't leave it for the next guy to do it. That's what I'm trying to do now at this point. Iron Jacket, you inspired me to be better than I was.
Definitely.
Better. And in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Again, it's learning, I'm glad you brought it up in the way of that we're not here to bash. You know, we're here to learn and uplift each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it turns out that he is white, you know, then that's our fault. That's our fault for not, being as committed as he is to learn these things. You know, maybe you can say that because of his skin, he got away with other, access to resources or money, and that could be a good argument. But the point is that this is ours. The culture, the medicine, the teachings, the songs, the ceremonies, they're ours. So, it's we need to take them. We need to apply them. We need to, use these medicines. Use this. And so, again, going back, it's like we're starting this movement, this endeavor, and starting tomorrow, we're having these series of workshops that I'm welcoming and inviting everybody to participate in, and hopefully by next year around this time we have a solid blueprint.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're gonna call it yet, but the blueprint is we're trying to have it holistic. It involves how we treat each other, but also financial. It also, with this,
it has many components.
It has many components. It has a business component. It has we're trying to see maybe it has a crypto component. It's this is a reality that we're living in. But at the same, it also has a food component.
Yeah.
It has it has a political component, a justice component we're looking into. Different people have different pieces, and so we're looking at how we can incorporate it all, because that's and even just to remember that 500 years ago, it was still evolving. Our societies were still evolving. They were at where they were at, but they were still evolving. So it by no means it doesn't mean that that's where we're at.
Well, here, let me elaborate a little bit on still evolving, because when you said that, I automatically thought of the Aztec calendar, and I was like, they have a day where they revere death. Why? Because you evolve through it.
Yeah.
So we're still evolving, even though the 500 years commemorated a death of a culture. Yeah. Our culture believed that that death is a place of rest, transition, and activity.
For a future life.
For future life. Amazing.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing here. Lucas, just tag me, do the post, tag me. I'm going to share it on LA Natives. We went really overtime on this thing.
Well, I'm just so proud of the audience that's still tuning into us right now. We have well over 20 viewers right now just watching us and listening to you guys. I just hope everyone, got something out of this today.
It had to be said, and it was said in a humble way, in a good way. I hope everybody can understand and digest that everyone has the ability to be just as intelligent, just as eloquent, and just as knowledgeable as Iron Jacket if you commit to 10 years of anything. And I think with Lucas coming today and sharing the ceremony that's going to take place in the next couple of days, I just want to share my experience in those kind of ceremonies. Prior to Lucas doing the social media thing, we had a word of mouth kind of tell each other about these ceremonies. And then you would kind of you're like, sunrise, all right, yeah, I'm going to be there. And then you're like, next day, maybe I won't. Maybe.
Next time.
Maybe next time. And then, but then there's sometimes where I need to be there. I feel like I need to be there. I'm going to be there. I encourage everyone else to participate in that, because whether you have a podcast, whether you have lots of followers, whether you don't, whether you're just a good dad, a good mom, a good family, that day, I'm sure that everybody's equal when that sun comes up. Everybody's going to be the same person. You're not going to be famous. If you're famous, you're not going to be famous that day with that moment. That's what those ceremonies are. And it's almost like my commitment to fasting every year. It's like the closer I get to it, the closer I feel like I'm not going to be there. But if you do show up, know that it's going to be a special, special moment in your life.
Yeah.
It is. It's an amazing experience to be around people who are committed to commemorating the end of our genocide. Yes. And the rebuilding of our organization. Because just like we can die, we can rebuild. The Mexica were about rebuilding. Native people moved and rebuilt all the time.
Yeah.
We need to get into the understanding of that and going to community events such as, they're calling it anything?
That day, it's just Dia de la Resistencia.
Dia de la Resistencia, August 13th is a very important date because the Maya say that that's the day that the universe did the Big Bang. I don't know if people knew that. There's a research that I researched where that's why it's important to them. August 13th is a very important day because it's the creation date of a Big Bakhtun calendar.
Tupac mentions also that there's some kind of shower, a meteor shower, some kind of shower that day as well.
So there's a celestial event. It's a very important day to the Maya. If you have time, when we repost this information, if you could be there, know that you're going to be there as a collective, as a community, and as a committed individual to breaking this 500 years of unfair treatment, land theft, pedophilia, rape, molestation. That's what we're fighting when we go there. Misogyny, patriarchy. We're fighting all of that day. And it's very special to see those people that are committed to that. And I hope that people share that flyer. And I hope that whole park is full with fucking thousands and thousands of individuals who just want to end this nonsense.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for letting me, just share words here. I want to give a shout out to the community, the circle that's putting this together. That's Jose Maldonado, Armando Lawrence, Lupe Carrasco, Elias Serna. There's Vero, I forget her last name, and then there's Tino helping out. There's Sean is also helping out. So,
and we need the community to help out. Share the flyer. Share the flyer. Share the flyer. I know we only have a few days, but man, if we could get a couple hundred people out there. Man, it'll show white supremacy where we're at.
Right.
Now is the time to show white supremacy where we're at. And I don't care if there's only 10 people there. Right? But let's make a statement as a community. Share the flyer.
10 committed people is more than 100 uncommitted.
Right. But let's be 1,000 committed people. Right? Because the 7 generations are important.
We're going to go ahead and post that flyer on our Instagram, LA Natives Podcast. Be on the lookout for that, right, Zero?
Absolutely.
I also want to give a shout out to the community, Zapotepec, up there and up in the hill right there off of Suno. It's where we're trying to put that. He's one of the members. It's a collective, and we're just trying to put these teachings into practice.
Absolutely, as best as we can.
As best we can.
As best as we can, with no judgments and no hierarchies.
No hierarchies.
No hierarchies. Everybody's the same. Everybody's humble. We're trying to create the community that our abuelo said we would regain.
Exactly.
That mandate is very real to me, whether you can prove it or not. It comes with time and the time sequences of our ancestors. And our ancestors were brilliant mathematicians, brilliant astrologers, humble cultivators, masters of community. Masters of philosophy. That's who you are. That's your blood.
Exactly.
That's your blood. And
maestros.
When Uncle Long Walker opened the portal for us, we accepted that, but knew that it was coming with the battle of a lifetime.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, the battle of a lifetime, because you have to walk and talk it. You have to be real, and that was our whole show. Are you real? And only your actions reveal that. Nobody talking shit about you. No 100 podcasts calling you out is gonna. If you're real, you're real. People feel you're real. You're real. Lucas is real. Armando's on the road to being, learning the red road and knowing the commitments. But I feel his heart is real.
You can tell.
And And we're here to reintroduce ourselves to each other as family and a commitment to breaking the colonial perspective of 500 years of genocide. So please, we'll share the flyer. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hearing us. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for everything, community, because we are nothing without you. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Shout out to the men's circle.
Oh, Lawi.
This Sunday.
Yawi.
Sunday.
We'll see you next time.
Malinali Foods.